Adrienne, welcome to the Live the Width of Your Life podcast. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here, and I just appreciate this opportunity so much.
Yeah, and before we hit record, we were just talking about our connection with Carly, so we'll have to thank Carly for the
Yes.
introduction. I love that you have lived such a wide life, tying to this theme of living the width of your life. And maybe you could just take us back and share a little bit of your background, the things that you think are most relevant for us to know that have shaped who you are today.
I have lived such a varied life. I'm very nomadic, first and foremost. I have lived all over the United States. I have studied, worked, or just lived in 8 other countries abroad, all countries that English was not the first language. I love exploration. I love to get out and explore the world. One of my main goals actually in life was to set foot on all 7 continents before I turned 35, which I accomplished 9 months before I turned 35. So that was really amazing for me. I love travel so much, and I also love inner exploration. And I think I've always been very interested in the metaphysical, mostly starting from my 20s on. I just really dove further and further in. And I've worked a lot of different jobs. I have taught English abroad. I have taught university level Spanish. I was a governess for a high profile family. I've also nannied. I helped run a spa at a Tibetan themed retreat center in the Catskills of New York. I've done a lot of different things, and my gifts opened up in my late 30s. So, for the past almost 12 years, I've been working as an empathic intuitive who helps people release their emotional and energetic blockages.
That's amazing. So, what sparked this desire to travel and to try all of these different things that you've done in life?
The traveling bit was interesting because I was terrified of everything. Like, I was very shy. Someone I had worked with in my late 20s who did healing over the telephone, this is before video conferencing, she told me something that I will never forget, and it rang so true. She said, "You are the most scared person I've ever met, but you're also one of the most courageous." So it is true. I do face a lot of fear, but I also don't like fear to take over my life. So I push ahead, or I move forward and do the things that I want to do anyway. I never would have imagined traveling abroad. I actually heard a girl in my choir in high school talking about becoming a Rotary exchange student, which I didn't even know what that was. And all of a sudden I became envious. I was like, I have to do this. It's like something took over. And the next thing I know, I'm interviewing, I'm accepted, I'm choosing the country, I'm on a plane, I'm landing in Ecuador. And it was by far the most challenging year of my life, but one of the most beautiful, because it just showed me so many aspects that I didn't know about myself. And I just had so many rich experiences, and it ignited my passion for travel. I haven't stopped since I was 18.
What did you find most challenging in that year abroad?
Oh, I moved a lot as a child, but I always had my family for supports, and there I was alone. I had 4 years of high school Spanish, but that does not prepare you to speak with people when they're speaking at rapid light speed. It was a lot of challenges that came up, and I'm very sensitive, and I didn't know even what an empath was until my late 30s, but now I understand. I picked up a lot on people's emotions and their cues. They would tell me one thing, but they'd be feeling something else. So it was dealing with that, dealing with being in a new culture, just trying to navigate how to handle things on my own and get to know who I am as a person. It's not easy, but it was really rewarding.
For those that aren't empaths or maybe aren't as familiar, what does it feel like to be an empath? If you could describe it to someone who maybe is like, what is that?
It's like being a sponge. I
Mm.
can walk into a room and I will immediately feel who's in pain, who's going through a hardship. If people are fighting, my whole body will tense up. It's just like you feel the emotions as if they're your own emotions. So, as an empath, one of the things I've had to learn is how to discern what is mine and what is theirs. because oftentimes I'll start reacting and not even understand, like, why am I so angry all of a sudden? That doesn't make any sense. When it
Mhm.
was literally the person I had just passed on the highway who was in rage mode, and I just happened to pick up on that energy.
That's interesting. So you knew you were an empath, or at least you had these feelings, maybe if you didn't have the words, but you said that you started developing your talents or your skills or you receiving your gifts when you were in your 30s. Tell
Mhm.
me what that was like and where were you when this was happening?
So I was living in Sedona, Arizona. I had a pool to go there. I had never even heard of Sedona. I did one of those things where my life was in a very dark place. I didn't know what else to do. People said, talk to your guides. So I said, okay, guides, if you're there, if you're listening, whatever, help me. I don't know what to do. This isn't how life should be. Like for me, to feel happy was actually physically painful. And that's not what life is. So all of a sudden I heard Sedona, and then the word just kept popping up, and I saw it on, I think I was in Hotmail, and it was one of the ads, and I thought, okay, this means something. So I actually went and checked it out, and I just felt so pulled, and I moved there, and it became my training ground, a very intensive training ground for almost 3 years. And it's where everything just blew open. I actually had started a business, had put all of my savings into it, and it went nowhere. I lost my savings, like everything fell apart. And that forced me to take a side job at this store that belonged to the yoga center that I was attending. And that's where they taught me how to open up to my intuition, how to read people's auras. We used a bioenergetic feedback machine, and we would see the colors. And the very logical part of me was like, memorize what red means, memorize what green means, memorize, and I'm trying to explain to people red means this. And when I could open up to my intuition, I started seeing things in the picture. I would see an infant and I would just say, I'm seeing a baby. And the woman would start crying and she'd say, I miscarried. So just stepping into trusting my intuition and what was happening and finding out I was an empath and finding out that I can communicate with the deceased and then finding ways to work with people because I could feel their pain. How could I help them? And yeah, it just was one step after another on this new path that I ended up taking.
Wow. Was it scary at all to allow yourself to open up to these gifts?
It wasn't scary per se, it just felt so normal. I mean, even when I first started working with the archangels, I had recently been certified in the emotion code, and I was working in Sedona outside near the Red Rocks, and I
Mm.
started seeing blockages that modality couldn't touch. And I'm like, what do I do? And this archangel shows up right next to me and she says, do this.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was like, okay. And she and I have been a team ever since. And it feels normal. It just feels you have to let go of all your preconceived ideas and notions when you go to Sedona because it's just going to blow things open. That's just how the energies work there. It could be unsettling, but it wasn't terrifying because I have had experiences before Sedona with spirits and things that were terrifying. So to me, this was just more empowering than anything. Okay, this is how you work with the light and this is how you help people.
Mm. I love that you said you had a pull because I've been called, I feel pulled towards Sedona as well. And I've heard so many people talk about if you are pulled and you go, that there's a reason. And
Mm.
it's such a powerful place. Describe what it's like to be there. How did you find it versus what you expected of Sedona?
It's like the two sides of a coin. Sedona is so beautiful. Surprisingly, I mean, you're in the upper desert, but there's water and it's stunning. And I love hiking in the Red Rocks. It was just one of my favorite things to do was to get out and hike in the early morning or the late afternoon. A lot of things happen very quickly in Sedona. The energy is very intense, very powerful. I wasn't able to stay in Sedona for very long. I would have to leave for periods of time because it was just too overwhelming energetically.
Mm.
So I would go to California for maybe 3 weeks and then come back. And I had to do that several times just to breathe a little bit because it was just so intense. Like when I would do sessions with people, the download would come so fast that it was like, wait, slow down. Like it's too much all at
Wow.
once. And it really was my training ground. It allowed for so many things to happen for me so quickly, for me to be able to step into my gifts quickly. So it really is an amazing place. It is a spiritual place. It is a beautiful place of nature.
Wow.
It is a very powerful spot, that's for sure.
So, after you left Sedona and you discovered that you have these gifts, tell me a little bit more about the business that you have now and who you work with.
So I started Be From the Heart. It's the name came to me through my spirit team. Little did I know that this was actually going to be a theme of my life, learning how to be from my heart and what that actually means. I also changed my last name. I go by Adrienne Almamour. Alma being Spanish for soul, and amour, French for love, because my maiden last name actually means one who angers easily. And that doesn't fit with what I was trying to do. So I started Be From the Heart as a platform so that I could work with people to help release their emotional blockages and their energetic blockages. And I basically work with those who are ready to just let go of that emotional weight that they've been dragging around, their past, that they just past shame, past traumas. I see a lot of interesting things come up in the sessions. One session is never the same as another, even with people I've worked with for over a decade. It's always different. We look at like generational trauma, ancestral wounding, inner child wounding, just whatever comes up. And what I love about these sessions are that they're led by the person's highest self. And the highest self is the part of our spirit that remains in spirit realm. It's the part that knows everything. It has that like mountain view, whereas we here as humans have that lost in the forest view. So it's just great to be able to work with the highest self on releasing whatever the person most needs to release at this time.
That's amazing. And when people contact you, do they know that they've got a block, or do they come to you and they say, I'm scared about something, or I have some limiting thoughts or beliefs that I want to release? Like, how do people typically identify what it is that you're finding?
Interestingly, it's usually through word of mouth, just people who have experienced it. Because even for the longest time, I couldn't explain what I do. It's not like you get a tangible
Mm,
product at the end. Most people will say, I feel so much lighter after a session. Some
mm.
I've seen instantaneous healings occur. That's not to say that happens for everyone. I never know what's going to happen in a session. I never know what the result's going to be because we block our emotions that we're not able to process. So if we're going through something and we just decide we're not going to deal with it or we push it down, it gets blocked in our body. And that causes energetic issues. And each person's blockage shows up differently. It shows up in a different way, in a different place, and it impacts them differently. So for each person, just clearing that out, they'll notice that things tend to run a little bit more smoothly. They might be feeling better physically, they feel better emotionally. It just depends on the person. So basically, if people want to do an emotional blockages release session, there's something weighing you down. You're not sure what really it is, or maybe you have an idea, or maybe you've gone through a trauma, and I can help support with that. I also work with female entrepreneurs, and we do energetic and emotional blockage release as well, but we mostly focus on the sabotaging beliefs that are holding them back in business. Because I'm able to go in and pinpoint these beliefs that are mostly unconscious for people. We bring it to the surface. Either we work with them, or if I can, I'll clear them. I shouldn't say I. The archangels I work with do all the clearing work, but it's really impactful. And the women that I have worked with are like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm out of my own way. I have so much more motivation. I'm actually getting things done. I'm actually bringing into reality this dream that I've been holding for so long. And I just have kept myself stuck and I didn't know why or how. And this has just been a great step forward.
I love that so much. Yeah, the limiting doubts and beliefs is so prevalent. It's definitely something I've worked on with myself, and I see my clients a lot. Have you ever dealt with any fears of your own?
Lots. For a very long time was an adrenaline junkie, like hang gliding, paragliding, parasailing, just anything that I could launch myself off of. I absolutely loved. And one day I accompanied a friend of mine. He wanted to go bungee jumping, and I tried to talk him out of it. I'm like, don't do it. Just don't. This looks terrible. Why would anybody do this? It's going to hurt your back. The next thing I know, I'm at the top with a cord wrapped around my ankles, and they're telling me, el chiste es no pensar, lánzate. Just don't even think about it, jump. And I'm going, wait, how did I even get up here? What am I doing? And I jump. From that jump, I became terrified of heights. I couldn't like rock climb any longer. I would freeze on the walls. They would have to come and pull me down. It was horrible. And I also ended up with an immense amount of back pain, like at
Mm.
a 7, 8 on a daily basis,
Oh my
just
gosh.
excruciating for 10 years. 10 years. So I got really frustrated with the fear of heights. And I decided, let's face this head on. And I went skydiving. And while it did help, I still have a little bit of a healthy fear of the heights. And then when I was in Sedona with this yoga center that I attended, they started talking about how we can trap our emotions and how they can cause physical pain. So I started working with that and did release work around my back. And that pain went from like a 7, 8 to a 1, 2.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So that's the fear. It went right into your
Oh, there was fear, terror. It was a bunch of different things, but all relating to that jump.
Did something happen with that jump, or did you just feel like you weren't prepared for it?
I don't even know why I did it. I don't even know how I ended up there, but I think in part it was to keep me from doing more dangerous things in the future because, again, I
Mm,
was an adrenaline junkie and I needed to keep my body safe to be doing other things.
yeah.
But when I came down, the cord actually got wrapped around my ankle
Oh.
and I heard my back snap all the way up to my neck. Like it just went pop, 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 pop. And yeah, it was very scary. But for me, again, I was more upset with the fact that I was all of a sudden afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. So I used the skydiving to try to push through it. And
Mhm.
then another fear that I encountered, I was in Greece. It was when I was a governess. We were on the yacht. We were out in the ocean near an island off of Greece. And I was swimming. I was just treading water and I thought, this is amazing. I can feel the warmth of the sun halfway down my body. But then I noticed, wow, beneath my rib cage and down below, it's actually really cold, like really cold. This must be really deep water. And then all of a sudden, I went into sheer panic and I
Mm,
didn't know why. And I had to get out of the water. And
yeah.
every time I would try to get back into the water, it was like this terror would consume me. And that
Mhm.
really frustrated me because I love being on the water, in the water. So, what do I do after a couple of years of battling with this? I decided I'm going to learn how to scuba dive in the Great Barrier Reef with sharks. And I do this. And yes, it helped with my fear of water, not completely, but it did help. And then a few years later, this is when I was in Sedona, someone was doing a past life reading with me. And all of a sudden, I went into a past life where I was in the water and I died. And I realized that something in Greece had triggered that past life memory to pop up.
Mm,
So I was reacting from a fear from a past life. So for people who have this fear of something that they don't even understand why. Why am I afraid of explosions or why am I afraid of spiders? It's nonsensical. Like I don't understand why I would have this fear. It can
yeah.
be tied to a past life or it can be tied to a generational trauma as well. It can be
Mm,
passed down. I see a lot of that quite often.
that's so interesting. I definitely have fears that are irrational or I just don't know where they come from. Terrified of snakes, like absolutely terrified of the thought of seeing a snake. And I haven't actually seen a snake in real life, but even on the television, if they pop up, freaks me
Oh.
out. And I also have had that fear of the deep water. Like we were in Sicily and I jumped off the boat and also had the thought of, wow, it's really cold down here. Like, how deep is this? And it felt very uncomfortable. And then the other completely irrational one that I've seemed to have made progress on is cats. I do not
Mm.
trust them. Do not want to be in a house alone with the cat. And I was in a yoga class once, and the woman does past life regressions, and she was just in the class, and I was trying to get some of her information. And she said, "Oh, yeah, you lived in Egypt. There are hieroglyphics all around you." She's like, "That explains something." I was like, "What?" It was so interesting, but I didn't get a reading from her. So I do believe that there's some things that maybe just don't make sense and that there has to be some other explanation for why we have those particular fears.
I agree. I mean, at least with working with clients, and I do have a course where I teach people how to partner with their fear and use it
Mm,
as their ally instead of allowing it to sabotage them. And we do look at that as well. It can be from a past life thing, or it can be handed down. It could be your great grandmother watched her beloved die from a snake bite,
right.
and that fear passed down through the generations, and it just
Yeah.
happens to be awake and active in you.
Mm,
So it is interesting because I don't believe that there's things that happen for no reason. Everything happens for a reason. There's always something behind it, and you just have
yeah.
to investigate and figure what's actually going on. And in most cases, it's not going to be the typical logical thing that our brains can put together. It's going to be outside
Yeah.
of the tangible.
Do you still believe that's helpful? If you're scared of water, do you think people should learn to scuba dive, or is there something that might be a different way to help overcome that fear?
Back then, when I did these things, I didn't know what I know now about checking
Mhm.
past lives, about checking belief codes, about checking the energetics that could be holding me back. But I do believe there is something to actually doing something to face your fears. I was in Hawaii, and this woman knocked me over as I was trying to get out of the water onto the embankment. And she was just terrified. She said, "I know it's stupid, but I can't do this. I can't get in and snorkel. My whole family's watching me, and I know I'm disappointing them." And I don't know again what came over me, but I ended up taking her out into the water and just talked her through it and just supported her. And she was able to do it. It took a while to go through the resistance and the fear. But I think once you give yourself that shot to try, you'll be impressed at the fact that, yes, you actually can do these things. That, yes, when you can stretch your comfort zone, amazing things can happen, and that you can still be safe doing them. Oftentimes, we're reacting from beliefs that we formed when we were children or when we went through a trauma, and those beliefs saved us in that moment, but they're not pertinent to what we're going through right now. They're like the old version. We need to update. We need to have new beliefs that support us for what we're trying to accomplish in now in the present time, and not back when we were 3 years old and we're afraid of the spider because mom freaked out when she saw it. So it's about working with those beliefs and shifting them.
So you mentioned the word comfort zone. And I know that's definitely something that I talk to my clients about and really stretching beyond. But what are your thoughts around comfort zones? And do you help your clients push out or stretch? Or what's the term you even like to use around moving beyond comfort zones?
It's all about expansion and growth. We stay in our comfort zones because it's comfortable,
Right.
but then it's the same thing all the time. And I very firmly believe that we are not a body that has a soul, we're a soul that has a body.
Yeah.
We are a
Okay.
soul. And we came here to human, right? I came here to human as Adrienne. You came here to human as Aneta. We came here to experience life, and our soul loves to grow.
Yeah.
And we can't do that if we're stuck inside this zone, this boundary that our ego will put up to try to keep us safe. And I think it's important to recognize too, a lot of people will villainize the ego. And I don't see it that way. I see the ego as our survival operating system.
Yeah.
It's what is just trying to keep us safe. It's looking at our belief systems. It's looking at our past reactions. It's looking at our entire history and going, here's this new situation. Here's how I reacted in the past. This might keep me safe. Don't take that step forward. You
Yeah.
know? Or we have the inner critic going on, our parents, our friends telling us, oh, that's too dangerous. Don't do that. Or who do you think you are to try such a crazy dream? There are all those things that stop us from that expansion, that stop us from our dreams, that stop us from exploring, that stop us from growing into who we came here to be.
Absolutely. And I love the word expansion. I love just the image of that too. And it is hard. And depending on how we were parented, like some of us were put in these boxes that maybe our parents were projecting their own fears or their own comforts or fears of safety. And it's hard to expand and to move beyond that sometimes because we've grown so comfortable with the familiar. What are some of the things that you do with clients to just help them to expand beyond their comfort zones?
One of the things that I will do is to challenge them to pick something that they're interested in but is uncomfortable. So it could be going to a restaurant with a food they've never tried before, like Indian food. I've never done this. It seems foreign, odd, scary, but I'm a little bit intrigued. Or maybe it's traveling by yourself somewhere, even if it's to a different state or a different province or a different country. Just something that excites you, but it just seems, nah, I don't think I can. No, that's too far outside the comfort zone. Choose it. And then look at your thoughts. What thoughts are popping up around this? What voices are you hearing in your head? Are they even your voices? Because it's important to distinguish. Wait, is this actually my voice that's telling me that's really not a good idea? Or is that my mom telling me that this is really not a good idea?
Yeah.
And then look at your what ifs. Well, what if I do this and I hate it? What if I go to this other state and I get lost? And then flip them. What if I do this and I absolutely love it? What if it becomes my passion? What if I go and I get lost, but I end up discovering some of the coolest things ever? Flip your what ifs to something more positive, something more encouraging, and then take action. Take an action step. Look at the menu online of what you're going to order when you go to the Indian restaurant, or start Googling the directions that are going to allow you to get from point A to point B of the place you want to go explore. And what is it that you need to prepare yourself for to go and do this, and save up the money and then go do it. And with every step that you take, celebrate it. Absolutely celebrate it, because this is an accomplishment. We all are going to carry around fear. And I think it's really important also to understand that fear is not this thing that is out to get us to just be our jailer. Fear is so important in that it can keep us safe, for one. That fight, flight, or freeze when we are in an actual dangerous situation. It can motivate us. If you need to pass your exam to graduate, you're going to have that fear of, oh man, if I don't pass, what do I do? So you're going to study harder, or you're going to get a tutor. So it can be motivational. Then you've got those fears that are your parents' voices or your sabotaging beliefs that are the ego's way of saying, I don't know if we need to step outside this comfort zone because my job is to protect you. Those are the ones you really want to be pushing back against. Those are the ones you want to stretch with. And all of our emotions will guide us to what our thoughts are. If you want to change how you're feeling, change what you're thinking. It sounds simple. It's not that easy to do sometimes, but it's true. If you want to change how you are feeling, you change what you're thinking.
Absolutely. So true.
Yeah, when we do this, anytime we stretch outside of our comfort zone, and I feel it's always moving. It'll expand, sometimes it'll contract. You go through a trauma, that comfort zone is going
Yeah.
to contract back in, but you can expand it again. And with each time that you do this, it's just you're getting to experience a life more fully, more richly. You get to know yourself even better. It's such an amazing thing to do. And I just encourage everyone to give it a shot. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let your thoughts hold you back. Don't let what other people think hold you back. It's your life. You're the one who gets to choose how to live it.
Absolutely. Adrienne, if folks want to work with you, what is the best way that they can find you?
So my website is befromtheheart.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under Be From the Heart. And I believe LinkedIn is Adrienne Almamour. And I do have a resource for your listeners
Oh,
that I
amazing.
believe you'll be providing the link
Yeah.
for. It's a workbook to help them actually expand their comfort zone, step out of their comfort zone. There's a challenge that's in there, and there's also a visualization they can do to visualizing their comfort zone expanding, which helps us when we're trying to push past that fear. And yeah, and if you ever feel like the work that I do is something that's calling your attention or resonating with you, reach out and I'm happy to check, because I always do a pre-check with people before I work with them to make sure that their highest self is on board, to make sure that the session's beneficial for them, so that we're just ready to go when we actually work together.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for the resource. We'll definitely include all of the links. And Adrienne, the final question I ask all my guests is what does it mean to you to live the width of your life?
To me, I never know how long I have to be here, and I want to experience as much as I possibly can. I want to live a life that is as beautiful as possible, and just to share compassion and kindness as I go, because I feel that's so important, especially in these days and times. I think it's just about experiencing as much as your heart desires and following your heart, following your soul's dreams and passions. Life is meant to be lived and not letting life live us.
Beautiful response. Adrienne, thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Much continued success.